Hello, I am Jim Elizondo from Real World Ranching, and today I am going to tell you my experiences with feeding your livestock mainly from the grasses and forages you grow in your own farm or ranch. This is essential to make you self-sufficient, and in these uncertain times, to insulate your property from the high prices of inputs and to improve your soil faster, plus work less. Does that sound good? Well, welcome back to another episode of Fat Cows, Fat Wallet podcast. I hope you are well and enjoying the day. Today, I am going to tell you about how to feed your livestock from grasses and forages produced in your own farm as much as possible. When we are mostly self-sufficient and are able to do without expensive purchase inputs, we become independent of high-price inputs that are going up every day. At least that's how it feels lately. I had to learn this very early in my ranching career, and it is the main reason I do not use any chemicals or synthetic fertilizers, as they were too expensive to allow me to make a profit. This was before I knew exactly how much damage they do to soil life. Using more of what you produce, grasses and forages, and less of what you need to buy, hay and supplements, means that you can keep that money in your pocket, so to say. Now, we do not want to shoot ourselves in the foot by trying to starve a profit into your farm, but you can surely optimize using what your farm or ranch naturally produces through the year, and that is your green forage. And to top it off, green forage grazed directly by your livestock, so no other intervention is necessary, like the diesel-using machinery needed when you make hay or silage. The less intervention from our part between the forage you produce and your livestock consuming it, the more efficient its use will be and the more money it will make you. But did you know that practicing direct grazing as much as possible also improves your land the fastest? Knowing what I am going to show you will help you to make your farm or ranch more profitable and above all, enjoy more time with your family. If you know of someone who you think will appreciate your sharing this podcast, please share it, as I would like to help as many people as possible to improve the world we live in. My total grazing students and those of you who have taken my adapted genetic selection online course know this is what makes you money and peace of mind: the efficient conversion of the grass you produce into saleable products. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you utilized more of the grass that you produce on your own land? I know it may seem scary to harvest more of your forage, but it is the best way to improve your land while maximizing your profitability. I will explain. Let's start with harvest efficiency when your livestock graze. When we talk about harvesting grain, we want to harvest as much as possible, leaving the least amount as a percentage in the ground. Why? Because it makes economic sense. So what happens when we graze? Do we try to achieve the highest harvest efficiency possible? Or do we allow our livestock to select the best and leave the rest as is widely taught by others? We need to realize that grazing only the tops and the best forage species weakens them and the regrowth is less vigorous than if grazed at a high harvest efficiency of around 80 to 90%, which allows your livestock to go through your land much more slower and gives a longer rest period for the roots to grow strong and fat. Doing total grazing, your yearly production is enhanced with the longer rest periods, and that allows you to increase your stocking rate, which determines profitability and soil improvement. This will also allow your grasses growing points, which are close to the ground, to receive sunlight, as the shade of the residual from selectively grazed grass kills these growing points and leads to wider interplant spacings. Too much shade is not good for them. That is why selective grazing, even when doing it in rotation, will lead to overgrazing, which means returning to regraze an individual plant before it has fully recovered. And due to profits being driven by the number of productive animals we can maintain per farm per year, stocking rate becomes very important. Doing a high harvest efficiency grazing, what I call total grazing, allows your livestock herd or flock to move slower across your property. This is so important that I am repeating it. And that will also allow a longer rest period to your forages and allow your desirable species to compete better after grazing with the undesirable species and will allow you to defer while paddocks are standing hay for difficult times, be them winter, summer slump, or dry season. But even more important, this will allow your forages to get leafier. A leafy plant has more energy than a stemmy plant, and the more leaves that you can produce per square yard, the better your solar panel is. A larger solar panel means more energy produced per acre to feed your animals and your soil, as the soil life is fed carbohydrates produced by photosynthesis via root exudates. We have learned by studying plant physiology that grasses and forages need a periodic complete grazing to remove tall vegetation and allow sunlight to reach their growing points and new seedlings which are close to the ground. We also know that thanks to photosynthesis, the plant creates carbohydrates which feed the soil microorganisms via root exudates, and they in turn make the unavailable nutrients in the soil available to the plant. Now, I would like you to consider this. Would your grass be more resilient to dry conditions with the stronger and fatter roots this longer rest period gives? This is a very important question. Think about it. I will say it again. Would your grass be more resilient to dry conditions with the stronger and fatter roots this longer rest period gives? Think about it. You will be increasing your organic matter, increasing humus, which retains water. The energy in your grass's roots will be very high. And this is extremely important during a drought to have strong and fat roots that your grass can depend on. But how do we keep quality up when our grass is growing very fast, like in the spring? We surely cannot go over the whole farm doing a total grazing as it will take too long, and our first paddocks will get over mature. Besides, we want to save money on hay or silage to feed our animals in the difficult times, winter or dry season. That is why in my Total Grazing online course, I teach to stockpile in area so that you can keep your livestock grazing even in those difficult times. This will need new knowledge and sometimes, depending on environment, a small amount of a high protein supplement to allow the rumen of your livestock to digest the higher fiber and lower protein stockpile grass. Doing this, you will not only improve your land through the recycling of nutrients, dung, and urine, but also save big time on hay, from $200 to $300 per cow equivalent per year. There are 6 sheep to 1 cow. Now, let's get to the fun part. How can you start? I suggest starting with step number 1, which is to do a daily move and aiming for the highest harvest efficiency possible without your livestock losing body condition. Okay? The main goal is to harvest more of what you already have available to allow a longer rest period to your whole property. This is step number 1, and as you master it, you can progress to fine-tune the next steps, which will allow you to create a much more resilient farm or ranch, which will be a pleasure to manage. Just by doing this simple step, a more complete grazing, you will avoid overgrazing, which is best defined as regrazing a plant before it has fully recovered. Avoiding overgrazing is fundamental for higher grass productivity and soil improvement. In the Total Grazing program, we avoid overgrazing. We need to change our way of thinking. When we allow our livestock to do selective grazing, they select the most palatable species, and then we move them to the new paddock to repeat the process. So it's not very good for our land, our grass, and our pockets. Okay, so conclusion and summary. To feed from grasses produced in the farm as much as possible, we need to minimize using a machine to harvest it, to feed it later, and to graze it at the right stage. In the green season, doing total grazing. This will allow you to stockpile in area other parts of your land to maintain grass quality high in the green season for your animals to gain weight and to put on good body condition. Then they will do total grazing once the green season ends in the stockpile area. Doing this will allow you to utilize with better efficiency the grass you produce through your livestock and to turn it into saleable products. It sounds easy, and once you get the hang of it, everything will flow. It really is the best way to maximize your productivity to enjoy a good life in the country. Well, that's all for today. See you next week. Until then, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube, or join us for the weekly email at www.rwranching.com/join. Have a great day.